So my name is Langston. I am the city clerk down here at the city of Buchanan. I always kind of like to start out with letting you guys get to know me. I am a clerk, so I am behind the scenes a lot. You see a lot of the commission and the manager, so I'm the one behind the scenes. So I kind of like to let people know about what I actually do and who I am, okay? So, like I said, my name is Langston. I am currently in my second year of my MIPMC, which is professional municipal clerk. It takes 3 years to get through. It's through Central Michigan University. I'm currently in year 2. I am an accredited election official through the state of Michigan, and I've been working with elections since 2016. I am currently the historian for the Berrien County Clerks Association, which I think lines up perfect with Buchanan, with all of our historical districts and how we put a big emphasis on that. And I'm not just elections, but elections is the best part of my job, and it is the favorite part of my job, and I will talk all day about elections if you let me, so. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit, start with the redistricting and the props. There were 3 props in 2018 that passed. Prop 1, as we know, is marijuana, legalizing it. But Prop 3 is my thing. So Prop 2 was the citizens district redistricting, okay? And what that does is they're gonna redistrict Michigan. That's the big one, okay? So they're gonna take as many, 13 members, and they were randomly selected, so these people applied for these positions, and they kept it as even as possible with 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, and then 5 independents. This was a very long process, and it's a very hard process, and it goes off the census as well for Michigan. And between COVID and the census and everything lining up, it got pushed back further and further and further. And now we're kind of in this weird transition where now we've approved the maps that we currently have right now, but there's still litigation and there's still legislation going on with it because people are appealing the maps.
When you say they approved the maps.
So the redistricting commission approved the maps.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then?
So then it goes on.
Right.
So they've approved those between the House and Senate and everything, but there's appeals.
Yes.
There's 3 cases that I know of currently right now against this. I don't have an opinion about it. I uphold the law. That's my job. So we have these new maps, and they're going through, and they're going on a very tight deadline because, as we know, we have people that are running for governor, we have people that are running for the state house, and now with these new lines, they have to petition, and they didn't know where to petition. So that was the hard, like, hey, there's a deadline, but which lines are we going with?
So when you say petition, what do you mean?
So what a petition means is you're gonna go out, you're actually gonna go to the clerk's office, the county clerk's office, and you're gonna get a petition form. And those are signatures that you need to be able to get onto the ballot. So like for us, the city commission you have to have at least 6 signatures, no more than 20. So then those get turned in with an affidavit and a statement of organization for campaign finance. The clerk actually goes through and checks all the signatures to make sure everything lines up, and then they get put on the ballot.
And this is from local to state
Yep.
to federal?
Yep. So I'm on the local end. I get the easy parts. I don't get the thousands of signatures having to check. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at, a very broad term. We went with the new lines, the ones that were the chestnut, the hickory map, and the linden map. That's what's passed through, that's what they're going with. So with the Bureau of Elections, that pushed us through to sending out the new voter ID cards, okay? But before we get to the new voter ID cards and why you got one and what's going on with that, I want to talk a little bit of Prop 3 because this is a big one too. So Prop 3 is same-day registration. So anybody can come into my office on election day and actually register to vote and be able to vote the same day. There's always a lot of concerns about that and how it works. They do have to provide residency for the past 30 days or an ID with their current address on it. A lot of people move and they forget to change their address. Or they'll change their mailing address, but not their voter registration address. And that doesn't affect, you have to go to the Secretary of State, or you can do it online, or you can come to my office and I can move your address. And you'll get a little sticker in the mail and everything. So my system goes through the Secretary of State's system. So that's a really good thing that people don't know about. If you don't want to make the appointment with the Secretary of State to change your address, come see me. It takes 5 minutes. So another great thing about Prop 3 was no reason AV. Before Prop 3 in 2018, you had to be over 60, you had to be a military or overseas, you had to be leaving out of town to get an AV ballot. Absentee ballot. Sorry, I use terms and I forget. So now we have this. So for no reason at all, you can come in and say, I want an absentee ballot, or I want to sign up to be on the permanent application list. And anybody can do it. And it's great. And it leads up all the way until the Friday before the election. And actually, you can get an AV ballot all the way up to the Monday, but you can't leave my office. You have to vote it there. Right?
The day before the election.
Yes, the day before the election.
Where it says allowing access to absentee ballots for any reason, allowing who access?
So if you were a registered voter, you would be able to access an AV. Before in 2018, it was not allowed. You had to meet certain criteria. So like you had to be over 60.
Oh, you mean anyone can pick up?
Yep, anyone can pick up. Like, so if you want to come in and get one, if you were just deciding that, oh man, I have to leave, I have an emergency, but I'm going to be gone for election day, you could come to my office and say, hey, I need an absentee ballot.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought it meant allowing anyone to come and look at absentee ballots.
No, the absentee ballots that come in back to me, we'll talk about this a little bit. So those absentee ballots that come in back to me, those are sealed,
Okay.
locked up in my office under my control. Nobody touches them, nobody goes near them.
Yeah, I think the wording.
The wording might be,
allowing
yes.
access to
And
absentee
then the
ballots.
next part of that, in auditing election results.
So the state of Michigan does audits. The Bureau of Elections does audit. They do random audits. I usually, at least 3 to 4 people in our county will get audited. And it'd be for like a specific precinct. I've been through one state audit myself at my previous jurisdiction. They just come in, they're making sure that everybody's doing everything right. And it wasn't always a big thing, but now we have actually risk limiting audits as well. So that's after every election, every single jurisdiction has to do these risk limiting audits. And now we have more audits done by the state of Michigan, done by the Bureau of Elections. It was a big thing before even 2020, so they were pushing for more security. So.
And are those under litigation? Anything
No, these
regarding-
two have passed by the people. They were both citizen initial put on the ballot proposals. They were both overwhelmingly passed. With
Right, but you said proposal 2, there's still court cases.
the redistricting part of it.
Okay, but
not
are
actually.
there no court cases regarding
Nope.
proposal 3?
Nope.
So everybody's on board with it,
Everybody's on board.
whether they like it or not.
Yes, and it's worked out. You know, as a clerk, you're thinking, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? Because we have an influx of AV ballots, of absentee voter ballots, and it was through the pandemic. It was even more.
Yes, it is.
And you're thinking, I came from a jurisdiction that was 12,000, and you're talking from going from 2,000 AV ballots to 6,000 to 8,000 AV ballots. And you're trying to process those, and it's still just the same amount of people working on it. So I personally love Prop 3. I think it's great. I think people forget. Things happen. There's emergencies where they're able to vote. That's what I like to see, is everybody being able to vote. Okay, so let's talk about the ID cards, because this is where people get confused about why did I get an ID card? And what do I do if I receive one, that somebody no longer lives there? Because this is gonna happen a lot. By law, in the Bureau of Elections, we had to send out redistricting cards for verified, active, and challenged residencies. So that's a little bit of terminology. The active residents are everyday voters, nobody's moved, everything. But there's sometimes where people move and they don't change their address. And we send them something and it might come back in the mail to us. We have to put them as verified. And then if we get another piece of mail that comes back to us, we have to put them as challenge. And there's certain steps as clerks as we have to do to make sure that we're reaching out and we're trying to find these people. And most of the time people reach out and they move, they just forgot to change their address. So by law, if you were living in a newer home and somebody else was living there and you might have got a card, and you're thinking, why am I getting this card? These people don't live here. Well, by law, we have to try and give it to them. So if you receive one of these and they're not yours, just call me, let me know, send it back to me, whatever's easiest. Or if you want to rip it up and throw it away, you can do that too, because I can tell you in 2 presidential election cycles, they're going to be canceled out of the system. So a lot of people just ignore it and let them get canceled out of the system. That's 8 years. So it always helps if I know, like, even like if you have a son or daughter that maybe live there and I send you one of these, if you could let me know and I can get their address and I can send them a piece of paper saying that they no longer, hey, we moved to Florida, we no longer live here, then I can get them out of my system quicker. It's a very delicate process and you want to be fair with everybody. So those are the cards. By law, we had to, after the redistricting maps were put in place, we had to send a new one out because everybody's numbers changed on their ID cards. And I'll tell you this, what the voter ID cards are for, those are for you. You don't need them when you go to the polls. You don't need them when you see me. You don't need them. That is for your information.
It's good if you take it to the poll though, because if you show up at the wrong precinct.
Yep, they can tell you.
Have it right
Yep.
there.
Yep, they'll tell you right there. If you want to have it, it's for your use, okay? But a lot of people forget, they think they can't vote without it. That's the big thing, is they say, I don't have my voter ID card. You don't, it's okay. So let's talk about the state representative lines, okay? So this is the old map, okay? And then, sorry, it's hard. Down here, your old number was 78. And see how this one splits kind of differently? The new one, I got a little bit bigger, it's gonna come up here, and it's gonna be 37. So this one's a little bit drastically, it goes all the way up, okay? And it kind of splits Berrien County in half, with the Lakeshore side and us on the inside, okay? It's a little bit, this one is a little bit different. So the big thing with clerks, my big thing is I don't want any splits or combos, okay? You really try hard not to, because then that gives 2 different ballot types for a precinct.
Splits or what?
Splits or a combo. So a lot of places, I'll explain. Splits and a combo, so I'll take like Lincoln Township, okay? Lincoln has some of St. Joe, and they have Stevensville, and they have the village of Stevensville, and they have the township. And they have 2 different school districts. Orinoco has 3 different school districts, 1 township, and a village. So those are going to be different ballot styles. That's the hard part. So I'll tell you, my previous community was Lincoln Township. In Precinct 5, there was St. Joe schools, Lakeshore schools, and now they will have another split right there for a different I think it's for the state senate. They will have so they'll have 3 different ballots for 1 precinct that they have to keep track of. And it's not so bad for us, but it's hard on the election workers. That's because now they have to constantly double check that, make sure that they're giving the right ballot. It causes a little bit of confusion, and that's where people get messed up. Now, it's doable, and half the time you have that awareness in you, so you're like double checking, triple checking with them. But it does happen. So human error does happen. But most of the time they'll catch it and they'll be able to fix it. So you try to avoid as many splits that you don't have to have, because it creates more ballots. Plus, cost effective wise, you're having to make more ballots. You're going to have to at least have 3 different ballot styles. That's going to cost you more.
What reason were you all getting the workers and representatives for the redistricting?
That was that proposition that went on to the 2018 ballot. It was a citizen proposal.
I was one that collected signatures for that. And the reason for the redistricting is passed, and that gentleman over there could speak about it better than I could. Whoever the legislature that was in charge that had more, what do you call it? One party or another, one of the two major parties is going to be in charge at the time of the census. So if, say for instance, if it doesn't matter which one is in charge, when they go and sit in the, like it used to be the old boys network, and they sit in a meeting and they decide the redistricting, they're going to do it in concert with their political beliefs and where they think they're gonna get the most voters. So if you push the boundaries in certain ways, like,
But this wasn't voted on or anything, right?
well, yes.
Yeah, the proposal was voted on,
Proposal one. Yes, we wanted the redistricting because in the past, the legislators were the ones that did the redistricting.
Yes, so it went to state legislation.
Yeah.
And
What she's trying to say is that before, it was in the politicians' hands.
There you go.
What the state of Michigan wanted to do was take it out of the politicians' hands and really give it to the citizens.
Yep.
In
So
this-
that they're not gerrymandered it for a Republican or a Democrat.
Yep.
It's-
So this, yeah, it created a group of people that were not politicians, that were just coming together.
And it made the districts, the whole thing about the history of what gerrymandering made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It put your district like this all over the place.
What it was doing was, let's say if you're a Republican, they would gerrymander it so that state representatives could not lose because they were getting all the voters enough
So
in
the
there.
state reps did not do this.
No,
That was my understanding, that they were the ones who did it.
Oh,
No, this was
they
a citizen
wanted-
proposal.
They wanted
No,
it the other
this is
way.
for
They didn't
citizens.
want it. This was the citizens that wanted it this way, to make it more fair.
yeah, and so you couldn't be a politician or a lobbyist.
Right.
Yeah,
At the last election, if I may say something here, is that Democrats won all the major elections and they got more votes, but Republicans hold the state Senate and the state representatives because of gerrymandering.
so that was the
I know
one.
what gerrymandering is, I know.
So with the state senate, this was your old, so your old number was the 21, and it's kind of like a little box for us. We're in there with Cass and some of Van Buren, okay? Now with your new lines coming through, you're kind of cut off. And now I have a better one on that one. Because it doesn't really show all the way with the state senate. It actually goes like all the way across almost. So they're covering a very large
Into
distance.
what counties across over?
I don't have the, it goes almost all the way to Hillendale.
Almost to the Ohio border.
Yeah. So
Almost
it's,
to-
yeah, it cuts our county in half. And then it goes all, I would say, let's see, about to right here. So all of this is gonna be, yeah,
all those counties.
yeah, all those counties. So your senate, your state senate representative will have all those counties. Instead of going like it was before, where it was kind of like a box,
Yeah.
it's gonna come all the way to about halfway through.
And part of it too has to do with how many, I think it has to do with the population within.
Yes, so there is
areas
a
that
lot
has
of
to
different,
balance.
yes, there is a ton of different population going, I mean, insane. When they first started doing it, because actually the county had to have their maps before and submit some, and we went up there to look and see what they were doing, and kind of give our opinion, because as clerks, you want to keep your like, no, please don't split us, please don't do that. So you give your opinion on it, and it was a process. And you're trying to keep in all of these different factors. And I mean, you're looking at 50 to 100 different factors of population, of people, of everything, of income. Yes, it was a huge process, and it didn't help with, because you had to rely on the census numbers as well. And with COVID, it was just, nobody could go door to door, nobody could, so they couldn't meet. So it was definitely a we were in a little bit of a panic.
So are you comparing county into more?
So it splits us a lot, honestly. So before, like, state senate, I mean, you could come together as a county and say, hey, this is what we want to push for. Now we're not. We have two different senates that say, okay, so if Orinoco wanted to go in with, like, right now they're trying to build that bridge. Various Springs is trying to build a trail hike that goes all the way into Sodas and Royalton down here to Niles. You know, if you were looking, a lot of times we have to get our senators and reps involved. If you were looking to get somebody, now you gotta talk to this one and that one and see if they can come on the same page. So it's a little bit different. It's gonna take some adjustment to get used to, for sure, I think. And right now, and you don't know, I mean, it could change. Litigation could go through and say next year I might be sending you voter ID cards again. We don't really know yet. And so, depends on what a judge thinks. So this is the US Congressional, so your old number was 6, your new number is 5, so you can kind of see where we were. Got all that, okay? Going up, you got 6 and 7 right here. So the new one, same, we're still cutting off the county a little bit. And this one's the big one. This one goes from all the way here, all the way down. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never heard of Monroe. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know, so your congressional is gonna have to cover all of this area. And like, obviously, and they have this far. So it looks like what they did was they combined almost 7 and half of 6 to make it kind of seemed like, when I was looking at the maps, you know, before we were going this way, but now it seems like we're going more towards the east.
And that's why some politicians are not electing not to rerun, because they don't want to run against another person in the same party.
Well, that's what you're losing.
Yeah.
You're losing the jurisdictions that you were friendly with. I mean, if you've had a politician in there for 30 years, you know who they are. You know the people, you've been out and about. Now you're running and you have to go out to branch, and you're gonna try and run against the person out there. You don't know what's gonna happen. So it's a little, they got their work cut out for them, that's for sure, on campaigning this year. And they didn't know which petition, where they were gonna be. It was a little stressful because they need to turn their stuff, their signatures in.
That was their whole idea for that, because it was just set in stone.
Yep.
Now they're ready to start over.
Now they have to start over.
Yeah.
So, a little bit different, but like I said, you got the new ones. This is the weird one for us, for the county. See this little tiny area right here? This is actually part of Royalton. So Royalton has quite a bit of different splits with 3 different school districts, and then they have, and they're gonna have this tiny little area that's got like 10 people in it that they have to get ballots.
So do you have any idea why that TAT that?
I have no idea. I have no idea why. I think they fought, and they actually did it with Lincoln too. That was one big thing, was she was trying to fight that because now she's got to create a whole other ballot for that one. And it's not that it's not doable. It's just we try to make it as easy as possible on election day. So we try to fight for the workers with it. So, all right. So voter registration. This is part of with Prop 3. It's the same day. And I'll tell you, in 2018, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to death when this passed through because it's something new, you have to change and you have to adapt with it. So at any point, anytime, you can go to the Michigan.gov voter registration and change your voter registration. You can do it at a Secretary of State branch. You can go to your city or your township clerk. I have little forms in my office. All you do is have to fill it out and I just have to check their ID. And like I said, that will trigger the Secretary of State, so you automatically get sent that little sticker on the back of for your ID when you change your address, okay? At any state agency that provides public assistance or service to people with disabilities, you can do it by mail, by just printing off the voter application. Now, and through a voter registration drive, I'm not sure if you guys have, maybe that's a good idea.
What is it called?
A voter registration drive,
Yeah, I think they have had them down at the farmer's market.
farmer's market, that's a good one. Schools, anything like that, high schools where you got the kids coming out, because you can actually register at 17 and a half. You can't vote until you're 18, but, so this was the big thing, the voter registration 14 days before election. So before 2018, you had to be registered to vote 30 days before an election. So if you were a kid that was turning 18, in that 30 days, you couldn't vote because you weren't elected. So unless you're thinking about it, and I don't know too many 18-year-olds thinking about registering to vote when they're 17 and a half, to do that, okay? And plus, if you're moving, that was a big thing. You have, a lot of people move around. They have things going on. You're buying a new home, you're doing all the paperwork for that, you're trying to get everything moved in, and you forgot to register to vote at your new address. So, there's a couple of things now with this that can happen. So a Michigan resident at the time you register and a residency of your city or township for at least 30 days when you vote. So if you come to me and say, Calla, I'm sorry, I forgot, it's 2 days before the election, I forgot to register to vote. If you have an ID with the address on it, I can instantly register you, no problem, you get a regular ballot. If you show me residency for 30 days, you're good to go. No problems, okay? You have to be a United States citizen, and you have to be at least 18 years of age, and not currently serving a sentence in jail or prison. Okay, those are the rules about registering to vote. So, proof of residency, driver's license, current utility bill, bank statement, paycheck or government check, or other government document. So that's all I need from you. Anybody have any questions about getting registered? They make it pretty easy to get registered to vote now.
In Michigan.
In Michigan, yes. Michigan has great election laws. We are very unique to the United States. We are very unique. So a lot of the stuff that for federal that they're doing, Michigan already does right now. So, all right, so absentee voting, if you vote absentee, I always kind of like to go over this. This is what your application will look like. If you're on the permanent list, what that means is every election, I'm going to send you this form automatically. How you let me know you want a ballot is by filling this form out. And you're gonna click, this is actually dual application. This helps cost saving, and we're actually told by the Bureau of Elections that we have to send that. So if you have a primary and a general election, we have to send the dual application. So the ones that I sent out about a month ago look like this. If you want it for just the August ballot, you wanted to go vote in person in November, just click that button or the check mark, okay? And I'll only send you the August. If you just don't want to vote in August at all and want to vote in November, hit that one, and I'll only send you a ballot in November. All I need is a signature, and that's it. I ask for a phone number or an email. I would really appreciate it, because you never know. Sometimes there are problems. And I reach out to you as best I can. If I don't have anything, I'm gonna send you a letter, and I'm gonna stalk you down, trying to make sure, all the way up until election day, to try and make sure we get it taken care of, okay?
And on mine, I have not turned it in, but I noticed I had intended to turn it in on a certain day, so the date that is on mine is now incorrect.
That's fine. That is not a problem.
In this state.
It is not a problem. The only thing I'm looking at is if there's a date there and your signature. So a lot of people are very confused on how to do this, how the process works, okay? So if you're on the AV list, I send it to you, you send it back to me, I get it, I'm gonna put it in my system. It's called a QVF, it's a qualified voter file. I'm gonna put in there that we're gonna do both ballots, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check your signature to the qualified voter file. And I'm going to make sure it's you. If it's off, and you can tell when it's off in a heartbeat, just by even a glance, you can see if it's not somebody's signature. I will tell you this, a lot of times what happens is wife signs husband's name, just not even thinking, and saying, oh, well, I sign everything. Or power of attorney signs, because they're just so used to signing, even though it says on there, they just automatically sign. Okay? Or so maybe there's something that happened. Maybe you had a stroke. Maybe you had something happen in the past 6 months. Maybe your signature is a little shaky. That's fine. Let me know. And a lot of times, if I think it's a little bit off, I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna say, okay, what's going on? And I'm gonna get a secondary signature put into the system. And a lot of times people will do that on their own. And I will make a comment in your qualified voter file, like, was diagnosed with Parkinson's, is having trouble signing. There is a thing for people that can no longer write. There are things that we can do, and when that time comes, give me a phone call, come see me, whatever happens, okay? And we will make it work. This you can fill out, but you don't have to. Okay, that's for the absentee voter board, but I do mine differently, so that's it. That's how it works. You got a question?
I live in Niles.
Yeah.
If I wanted to get one of them, do I need to go to the city?
So you have to go to the city of Niles. You can call them and say, hey, can you mail me an application? Can you email it to me?
Okay,
I get it all the time. So you can email it right to you. They can PDF it right to you. You can print it off. And I get a lot of people that just take a picture of it and send it to me email. I can print it off, no problem. Anything in writing that says that you want an absentee voter ballot, I have to take. So it doesn't always have to be on that form. But yeah, so pretty simple, pretty easy, but same thing with the ballot process, okay? So I send you the ballot in the mail. This is what it's gonna look like, okay? This is the envelopes, okay? So this is what it's gonna come in with the blue envelope. Your ballot is gonna be in that secrecy sleeve, and those are instructions, okay? So they're different for primary in general. There's straight ticket voting, there's all sorts of, I always suggest reading it, okay? So primaries, because you can't cross over, all right? Primary, you have to stay. You have to choose one party and stay there, okay? Not on proposals, just that. So a lot of times people don't realize it and they cross over. And that's okay, we can spoil that ballot and get you a new one, don't worry, okay? If it happens. Don't ever worry about it if you think that you made a mistake that you can't fix it. We can fix it, okay? All the way up until the Monday. So, once you get that, you fill out your ballot, you put it back in that secrecy sleeve, you're gonna put it back on in this one. So this is actually a green envelope. On the other side, it looks like this, but it's green. Your ballots are gonna come in green this time, but now the post office has decided that the greens look too much like the certified mail, and we're switching to purple. So you will have purples for November. So, yes, but we are allowed to use up our greens because these cost a lot of money and we don't want to waste taxpayer dollars on that, so we are using up our greens. So all the thing you have to do on there is make sure it's sealed and signed, okay? It's the same process for the application. I'm going to put it in that I received your ballot. I'm going to make sure your signature is correct. I'm going to put the return date. I'm going to write my little stuff on there, and then it goes into a locked cabinet. So, locked and key until election day. So, it's not one thing that always gets me is not early voting. It's absentee voting. Early voting is when you go into clerk's office and they give you the ballot and you get to run it through the tabulator yourself right then and there in the clerk's office. We don't do that.
Ahead of the election.
Yes, not yet. It's coming.
No, but I mean,
Yes.
that's what.
But early voting is coming. It will be coming to Michigan. There's been talking about it since 2020. There's talks in the works with legislation about it. We went through a couple of different seminars and have met with other states that do early voting. It's a little scary, but so was this. So, so you know, as a clerk, you gotta just roll with it. Everything changes all the time. So, one thing I always like to do is because I love absentee voting. I think it's a great thing for people. It's gotten a really bad rap about it in the past couple of years. But it's been around since the Civil War. I mean, they've been doing absentee voting. It's been around since the Civil War. Yes, it's the first absentee voting was from the Civil War. So it's not a new thing. It's changed, yes, but it's not new at all. And the process has worked forever for us. So a lot of people don't understand it. So, and that's the thing. And I can't ever speak for anybody else. I can only speak for my jurisdiction where I'm at and what I do. So, and I take pride in making sure I do it right. So, and if I don't have the answer, I will find the answer for you. So I always try and do this. If you want to become an election worker, come see me. I always need people. It is a long day, but it is fun. I try to make it fun. as hard as I can. When you work an election day, you get to see the whole process. You get to see everything. People don't realize I start about 5 months in advance before an election hits. It is a long process. It is a lot of work. And the only way that we can make it successful is when I have people that are willing to come work that long day with me and do it, because they do the hard work. They really do. I do all the behind the scenes, but the election workers are the ones that are out there. Without them, we couldn't hold an election. So, if you're ever interested, come see me.
Are you going to have, do you have to stay the whole day? I've been a poll worker several times, and we always suggested that we have because that's usually, could be a 15-hour day.
It's usually about a 24-hour sometimes. I've seen it go all the way. It's been 28 hours before. It can be a long day, but I won't hold people.
Are you going to have maybe part-time, a shift?
I will totally work with everybody. So we're doing shift.
Yeah.
Yep. I will, as long as you're not in the county board, you don't have to worry about it. As long as there's remarks made by the chairperson saying that, okay, they left at noon, no problem.
Yeah, I'm no longer a commissioner here in Buchanan, so I can go back to being a poll worker.
You can be a poll worker. I need people.
There's a log, what you had just said about the person left, there's a log.
Yeah, a remarks page.
Yeah, a remarks page, so every time a person leaves or whatever.
Yep.
You know, so it would be documented that this was the end of your shift.
And
And I bring breakfast and dinner, so I provide that. I feed,
I'll talk to you.
okay. I feed you.
Now.
I try and sucker people in with donuts and the good
No,
dinner.
it's a fun experience.
It is.
It's, I can remember once they had given me a special permission to go to Walmart because the printer wouldn't work. I had to get a special ink and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't balance the votes,
Yes.
so we couldn't print it.
The last jurisdiction I was at, we actually, in 2016, we ran out of ballots.
How have you been the election inspector in Buchanan?
So I've only been in Buchanan for about 6 months. I was at Lincoln Charter Township as a deputy clerk since 2016. So yeah, I'm first time being head, but I've worked plenty of elections and I had an awesome clerk that mentored me. So she really took me under her wing, and that was her plan.
Lincoln Township is a much.
It's much bigger. It's 14,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was asked to help once, but someone told me that during one of the presidential elections, not the last one, and I forget which precinct it was at, there was a major discrepancy, and the poll workers were given a call and said, we are sending the police after you, not what you're doing. I think it was like late at night, if you're in bed, get up, and you have to come up to St. Joe to recount.
So here's the thing.
That kind of made me kind of
If
shocked.
something, so after election day, every clerk has to seal up their stuff, which the receiving board will do.
Actually,
So
we sealed up the night of the election, and
They-
you take it up to say.
I do.
You have to phone it over,
Yep.
and then.
Yep, I have to transmit my stuff while I'm there, and then I take everything up to the courthouse, and it's under Judge Mayfield. It's under her control. So if there's something that happens, if there's a discrepancy, they've changed it. We will not do a recount until the next day. You get to go home and sleep.
Okay.
And it's me calling saying, hey, are you willing to do a recount? So a lot of times it's not. I actually just did a recount for the 2020, a different jurisdiction offered my services to go do a recount. So you just know it might take a while because the canvassers have to go through that. It takes them a little bit to certify. So with us, I don't ever see that saying no. That might have been the clerk didn't take her stuff up there and she was getting called because they will send the sheriff after you if you don't come up there. They will call and say, hey, you're gonna have to go pick up this clerk, she went rogue. So yeah, they will do that. But no, you wouldn't have to.
So you would have to go up to, or is it?
I go to the courthouse every time afterwards, trust me.
Oh, okay.
5 o'clock in the
So
morning.
So once they go up there, they don't bring the votes back down here, they stay there, and then what happens?
So there's certain things that have to go up to the county, that has to go to the county clerk's office and to the canvassers.
Mhm.
And there's certain things that get to stay with me.
And what are canvassers?
So the canvassers, there's two Republicans, 2 Democrats. They're the Buchanan County canvassers. They work together separately in teams, and they go through all the statement of votes. They certify everything for who won the election. So those numbers that are coming out the day after, those are unofficial. It takes like a week to get the official ones. So that's what they're doing. They're working together, and they're literally going through every little thing.
And are they elected
They are not. They're appointed by the county clerk.
by the county clerk?
Yep. And actually I'll tell you, I know one of them personally. She was actually a clerk for many, many years. She, and still volunteers her services to do that. So, yeah, they're great people. They've been in the county forever. They're fantastic. I feel so bad for them sometimes. And they are very picky about everything. So you kind of get, and that's always a great thing, so.
I have a question about do the poll workers who volunteer in Buchanan, they have to be from Buchanan?
So no, they don't.
Okay.
So one great thing about being a poll worker is you could literally go, if you are registered in the state of Michigan and you're 18 years or older, you can go anywhere and work.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, say, I'm gonna be brave and go up to Detroit and we're gonna face the wrath up there, there are people that like to do that because they don't want to see this fail. And they don't, there's a lot of things going on right now in the world that makes it a little bit scarier, but I don't.
The bottom line is.
I've seen a lot.
They need poll workers.
They do.
And, to make a democracy work, don't be afraid to
Yeah.
go out and work. That's the whole thing that's out there right now, is they're trying to scare people.
Yes.
You can simply remember what gentleman over there probably was in World War II. I was in Vietnam. That's what we were fighting for. So it's, you have to go and be part of democracy.
Yes.
Don't be afraid.
Well, and I can tell you this, they're not, in our area, I don't think that we have to worry about that kind of stuff. I really don't.
The police are very helpful
Yes.
there also.
Yep, and I have patrols that will be stopping by, and our clerk cashier up at the front that does our utility billing, she was actually a clerk for a short time before too, so she's gonna be able to help me. Our treasurer now she was a treasurer and a clerk at her previous one, so she's got election experience too. And so we have a really good team at City Hall right now, willing to jump in and help wherever needed with elections, so that's always great. So election day, we got one coming up, August 2nd, it's our primary, okay? Polls will be open, unless you want to vote absentee, come see me. General election is November 8th, 2022. So getting ready for those. We have, August obviously is on its way, we are getting close. But, you got a lot of different things going on, this is the first big election since 2020, We have people wanting to vote in person more now. We have a lot of different questions, but I've always said I love elections and I will talk about them all day long. So please, if anybody has questions or somebody that you know has questions, tell them come see me and we can talk. I'll show them everything. I'm very transparent when it comes to that. I think you need that as a clerk, especially nowadays. There's a lot of people that just don't want to talk about it because they're scared. I'm not like that. I will tell you anything and be completely honest with everything that comes through my office. So.
Where can we go online to look at what's going to be on the ballots?
So you can go to our website under my department. There's sample ballots on there right now for August. It's usually about a month and a half they'll be posted. You can go to the county's website. They'll have sample ballots posted, or Michigan.gov will have ballots posted.
Thank
When
you.
when will we receive our absentee ballots?
So I actually sent them out on Friday. So if you brought the application back to me, they went out on Friday.
And if you didn't yet?
You can, if you come in, you got your ID, I'll give you your ballot right there before you walk out. So, yeah.
So they should be in the mail then?
They should be in the mail. If you haven't received it in the next week, call me, please. The post office and clerks love each other so much, so. But any other questions? Anything you have maybe that you thought about, or things that have happened in the past couple of years that you have questions about, but?
I actually do, because I have been an election worker,
Mhm.
and, but I also watched the hearings, that have been taking place on TV. And it is scary. It is scary to wonder what might happen. I did the absentee ballot, so,
Gotcha.
you know, we're in a locked space and supposedly safe, but what if it gets stormed like happened in Detroit, or happened other places? So is the city prepared for worst case scenario?
I am. So, like I said, 2020 was probably one of the hardest years of my life as a clerk. It made me, I still have faith in people though. I still have faith that people do want to do the right thing. But there's always emergency plans. There is certain things that we as clerks have resources to on election day, including, FBI, Homeland Security, anything that we need at our fingertips. We've set up with drive-bys with the city, with the chief. We've talked about that, making sure. Personally, I like to prepare for the worst, but I'm hoping for the best. I feel like if I can take the brunt of it, off the election workers, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm a phone call away. So that's how I feel about it. Plus, one of my precincts is right where I'm at. So, but I have really good, the workers that I have met, and that I've actually brought in a couple from my previous jurisdictions that we're ready. I don't see that happening, but I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna prepare for it. So, yeah. I hope nothing like that happens anywhere. So, I really hope that doesn't happen. But from what I saw, was they came more after the clerk side than the election workers in our area. They were very thankful for the election workers, especially during COVID, where you have people out there working, and they're saying, hey, thanks for sitting through here and risking yourself so that we can come and vote first. They were very thankful, but.
You can call the chief, Tim Gates, ask him what he's gonna do on election day.
Sarah said the chief anymore.
Mr. Harvey Burnett is.
Oh,
Dr.
that's
Harvey.
a change.
Dr. Harvey Burnett.
Good change.
That just happened last Monday. Dr. Harvey Burnett is.
Well, Harvey,
Wow.
call Harvey.
Oh, I talked to him
Did-
a
did
couple
Timmy
weeks
there?
ago.
Where are you located?
I'm at City Hall.
Okay,
You can find me there most days.
okay.
So, and every other Monday at the commission meetings.
Okay.
Go to hit me up at
I
night.
just didn't know where you were located.
Yeah, right at City Hall. So, yeah, it's,
I
yes.
really appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thank you. I do love elections.
I
You're-
can
you're
tell.
encouraging.
Yeah,
Well, you
I
get to
can
it,
show.
that's your American rate.
Yes, it is
There
a
are
right.
other states that are trying to suppress it,
I know.
okay? That's not the American way. Everybody should have the right to go to vote
Yes.
without any restrictions and so on.
And without any fear.
That's correct.
Exactly. Not any fear.
That's what makes us a democracy.
Right.
I will do anything for anybody when it comes to voting. If it's an emergency absentee ballot, if I have to take it to a hospital, I will drive myself up there and take that one. If I have to register to go to their home to register them to vote, most people will say, don't put yourself out like that. I will put myself out there like that because that's my job. And that's something I love, and that's a passion of mine, is I want to make sure that, and we have a very low voting rate in the city of Buchanan. It's very low. It was 34% last in 2020. 34%.
Really?
Yeah. So the more people we can get out there and the more voter education we can do, voter registration, anything to understand the process of actually how it works and not just the hearsay of what people think. And a lot of people don't realize that we do it differently than everybody else. Everybody does stuff different. Nobody in the state, we have state election laws. So what you might hear happen in Ohio wasn't possible in Michigan. It's a very, like scrutinized position right now, but, and like I said, I can't speak for every clerk out there, but I can speak for myself. And I can speak for the clerks that I work with on a daily basis who team together, and like I have New Buffalo City Clerk coming today, because we're working together on things. It's, you know, it's how it's supposed to be, so.
I think the mentality is that people feel that their vote was not going to count.
Yes.
That's the thing, that's why they won't get out and vote.
Well, and here's one thing with the tabulator. A lot of people are like, this is the new one, is they want a receipt after they tabulate. This is a new one that I've heard a lot. So it doesn't work like that. So at the end of the night, we do the totals tapes.
What is that distrust, you know, in the voting system?
There is a very distrust, and trying to rebuild that, I don't think is gonna be possible in the next 10 years. I mean, honestly, I just don't see it happening. Unless they start to change things. Because a lot of people are saying, well, I wanna see it up on a screen and see it counted. Well, that right there is your privacy.
Right, yeah.
It's a secret, and that's the whole point, is
Why give it a
secret
secret?
ballots.
Why give it a secret?
Right.
When you give it to the person, if you did something wrong, it'll spit it out.
Oh, yeah, just spit it
And
right
then
out.
it'll tell the person who put it in, you can tell the
They'll see
voter,
the reason. and
right, this
the
is what
voter
you did
can
wrong,
see
go
it.
get a
Yes.
new ballot and come back in line.
Yes, but a lot of times people get embarrassed. You see this happen. People get embarrassed if they mess up. And that's one thing I hope that people, don't be embarrassed. Things happen. You know, it's okay. And spoiling a ballot at home, like you're not thinking any crossover, and it's like, oh, shoot. Because a lot of times, sometimes, on one side there's nobody running, but then on the other side there's 10 people running, and you're like, oh, okay, and then, oh, but I want her. Oh, nope, I want him. Yeah, it's not gonna count. So that's
Yeah,
one thing.
I've had people, in primary, where that's what, on site there, where they'll say, but there's nobody in my party running.
Yes.
So I went ahead and voted, I just went ahead and did that.
And then, yeah.
And
Well, and in Michigan, we do not keep track. There's one thing. In Michigan, we do not keep track if you are a registered Republican or Democrat. We do not do it. So I have no idea what you are, and nor do I care.
But if.
I mean, honestly, I'm a very nonpartisan. I feel like clerks should be a nonpartisan person.
But if you want to change your party, I mean, you have to
No, I mean-
declare at the election, you want this ballot or that.
You gotta tell them, not on the primary now, because the Republican and Democrat are together on this ballot.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to do that anymore.
Okay.
That was, nope. So, and
Oh,
yes, and they're very careful when they do have to do that. So the presidential primary, I think they had to do that. They had to declare, but like they had to say, okay, I want a Republican ballot or a Democrat ballot. But yeah, no, I don't know. And the only time I need to know is if you are a poll worker. I have to know if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, or any of that. Because we have to I try my hardest to keep it even. Sometimes, one thing about Buchanan is I'm learning is it's very mixed. So that's great because I can find Republicans and Democrats and keep them even, and that makes me happy. Because a lot of times when you go, my previous jurisdiction was very heavily Republican. So it was dying to find a Democrat, like, please, come work for me, please. So.
well, and even like with the absentee ballots, if one person from one party left the room, you can't have only the election workers from one party because something might.
When you open up the AD, you have to have one Democrat and one Republican before you can open up.
Yep.
Right, but what I'm saying is if somebody has to go to the bathroom,
They're fine.
you know.
They can fine. They're fine to leave. They're not held prisoner in there.
You're gonna
By any means. I
open up,
mean, they're sequestered. They're not allowed to leave the building.
if you're gonna open up the tabulator, you need one Democrat and one Republican.
No, I understand that. I'm talking about doing that.
The only time if they work together, they're fine. But if they're, like, say somebody has to go out and go to the restroom, the other one just stops working. That's all it is. So, and you have, like, we have 4 in ours. So it's 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. So they're always constantly watching each other. And, I don't think any of our election workers are they want to put 18 hours into a day.
Right.
So.
So what are you planning to do to try and, get people out to vote?
I have to be very careful because I can't, I can't be out there too much pushing things with certain campaign aspects. What I can do is be at the schools and hold, voter registration days and talk to people and do a seminar or come talk to everybody to see it, saying, hey, it's very important that we push. Really what needs to happen is the Republican and the Democratic parties, the heads, need to push as well. If they want more turnout, they have to push. And I don't know if you guys have anybody in your area that is like part of the parties here, but the more that they could push, what I can do is I can hold seminars and I can talk about it, and I can talk about it at commission meetings, and I can talk about it in schools. But honestly, I'm not sure how we're gonna push more.
Because, okay, with the village coming up, I know
Yep.
they have like a group of people that are really going to be trying to push to,
Is it the school one or the, school? Yeah,
So,
Yeah, and we're not allowed to have those kind of
Yeah.
conversations here.
yeah.
yeah,
So with that really has to come with the school.
oh,
And they have to be up, because I actually don't even handle their proposals, they actually have to go through the county. Like the local one that we have on for August is something that goes through me, but,
so I just wondered if you could get a group like that, since the school is doing that, but I know you said you can't.
I have to be very careful about,
Yeah.
and a lot of times I can say, hey, please go out and vote, please, and we can start putting stuff on Facebook and our website and stuff, but I haven't gotten to the point of how I'm gonna tackle this giant. I think it's gonna take a few
So
years.
you say 31%?
34% in 2020,
That's really low.
yeah.
Was it low, like 4 years before?
I haven't checked yet.
Okay,
No, it was higher.
it was higher. So a lot of it had to do with the pandemic.
I think, but there was a lot of absentee voters in
Yes.
2020. There was quite a few.
I think it was close to 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was quite a few compared to what the actual active voters are. Yeah. So, the more we can get out, the more we can tell people to vote. Usually August is always lower. It's the primaries. It's not as exciting for people, but it does matter. It matters. Every single one of them matter.
Well, people think it doesn't matter, but everything matters starting at the local level, and
Yeah.
that's when a lot of these
Yes.
things happen, is at the primary.
Well, a lot of the biggest excuse is my vote doesn't count, right? Well, every vote counts here in Michigan, and it goes to something. It's not like the presidential race where, you're not going into, it's counting. So yeah, your vote matters. It really does. So, yeah, that's the big thing. That's a tackle. We're gonna have to tackle that one.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I used to hear, if you didn't want to be on the jury, they call you, that if you voted, your name got put on that list where you would get.
So voter registration and jury.
I don't know, but I think a lot of people don't want to do, the jury, so that's why they don't vote.
So they don't register to vote?
Yeah.
They do pull it off I believe they do pull it off that
Everybody
list.
though?
It's everybody, and here's the thing, with that 2018, with that Prop 3, it automatically registers you at the Secretary of State.
So no matter.
There is
what.
no, unless you say, no, I do not want to be registered, it will automatically register you. So,
Yeah, but I heard that a lot.
Yeah, they don't want to-
the jury, and the jury, so you don't go,
yeah. The easier we can make it for
Yeah.
people, I think that's the thing, is where you want security and you want to make sure, but let's think about our technology nowadays and how easy it is to do things. And then you're saying, oh, well, you can only vote on this day, and that's it, and no other way. It's really, that's all we can do. That's where people's heads are at. I would say with the younger generations, they're like, no, I don't feel like taking time on my day.
Yeah.
I can only do it. Well, what if you have to work 12 hours? What if you have to do this? And you don't think about that kind of thing. So the easier we can make it, that's why I think early voting is coming our way. To really do, where it would be like 9 days before the election, you could come and vote in my office. And it would run through the tabulator right then and there. I don't know how it's gonna work completely, but I think it's coming. Where then people have no reason, that's 9 days. You could do an absentee, or you can vote in person at the clerk's office, or you can vote on election day. So, yeah. Anybody else?
This is a non-voting question.
Yeah, I like those two.
The city, are they going to have, they usually have a big item or a large collection over on River Street where you can bring stuff to the dumpsters? Do you know if they're gonna have one?
That already happened.
That already happened.
In the spring, we did it.
Yeah, the spring.
I missed it, okay.
I don't know if they do a fall one or not.
That's what my question.
I'll ask Mike and see if they're doing a fall
Oh,
one
yeah,
or not.
good point, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll ask Mike, see if he's.
And if they do, let me know, and I'll put it in our
Yeah,
newsletter.
I don't know if they do a fall one or not. I know they're doing brush pickup right now.
They're doing that, yes.
What about Hazardous Waste Day?
What's that?
What about Hazardous Waste Day? They have that in May and they'll have it again
Yes,
in
they do.
October.
Yeah, they have-
I'm
So if anybody,
I'm
there's a part
moving,
up here,
so
if
I'm trying to
anybody
get
wants to
this-
talk to me more, or they want to ask me a question in private, whatever works, please reach out to me. You can find me at City Hall.